Alrighty.
Brilliant. It does work. So welcome again to our Happy Melody podcast or seminar. Today we have Emily Duncan, writer, comedian, and marketing manager at Zillable. Emily, maybe you would like to start telling us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So what I do is I am a freelance writer. I'm a freelancer. And I also I work with Zillable sometimes, which is a collaboration platform, which I use for my freelancing because it's a neat tool that sort of combines your chat and your project management boards and that sort of thing. But what I do is I'm a comedian, and I have a family-friendly musical that I wrote that runs, it has been running every weekend since September, but we're taking a summer break. We just had our last show yesterday for the summer, and then we're coming back in September. Called Pluto is Missing, Not So Planetary Musical.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. So how does a writer, a comedian, and an author of a very successful musical become a marketing manager? Or what does it actually mean, marketing manager?
So I would actually say that these days I'm less the marketing manager and more a person that helps out with their marketing. I got involved with Zillable because I know Andy Pham, who founded it, who is a wonderful person and very smart. I had worked with him a little bit a few years back, and when I was moving from a full-time job into freelancing, he happened to email me the last week I was at my full-time job and say, "Hey, are you around to do any of this stuff?" And I started out just proofreading and copywriting and that kind of thing. And then it sort of, I've helped work with their marketing team. Lately, because I'm getting married in a few weeks and because I've got all my other freelance gigs, I'm just sort of helping out there more than anything else, but mostly just because I like Andy and I like the company.
Okay. Sounds good.
So that's, I admit when I sent the bio in, I was doing a lot more marketing with them. And these days I've taken a step back, but not because I don't love Zillable, but just because they don't need me as much right now, and other things do.
Which is probably a good thing because they can move on their own. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And really what they're focusing on right now is expanding in sales and that sort of thing. And they've got a great product. So I'm just a friend of the company.
Okay.
I just like it.
Speaking about the product, you said you're using it for your writing, basically. So what does it actually do?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to know that product, Zillable, what is it actually good for? You're using it, obviously, so you know.
Yeah. So what it is, it's called a collaboration platform, but what that means is it's online document collaboration, like sort of what you do with Google Docs, where you can write together at the same time with someone else around the world. You can chat, sort of like a Slack style tool, and you can do project management Kanban style boards, which are like if you use Trello or something like that, but they're all built together on one platform. And they work together so that instead of having 3 different apps, you're using just one app where everything is sort of like, this is my space for this is my space for this. And then you, like, instead of a lot of clicking around, it saves a lot of time. Yeah, especially if you're using Slack and Trello or similar tools. And it also has video conferencing. So if you're using Zoom or something like that, you can basically, instead of having a whole bunch of different things in a whole bunch of different places, you can narrow it down into just this one platform, which I really like. And they have a lot of storage at the premium levels. Like you can use it, you can either integrate it with your Dropbox or use it instead of a Dropbox. So for a project with a lot of sharing of big documents where you're talking a lot, it's a great place to just sort of have everything in one place.
Yeah, I think that's great because personally, I mean, I have so many tools for, this and that and whatever, that both my computer and my phone and my iPad, basically, I have so many of them because I'm working with many different teams, and in each team uses a different combination of those. So I think when it comes only to instant messengers, I think I'm using like 6 of those, like WhatsApp, Viber, somebody is using iMessages, somebody's using Facebook Messenger, somebody's using Telegram, somebody's using Slack, and it's just a nightmare because then I look at my phone and I see like these 20 different notifications from 10 different systems, and it's just a huge mess. So I can clearly understand how it helps. I actually looked at the website a little bit, and I kind of got the impression that it should somehow help with collaboration.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's great for collaboration. Yes. Basically, the idea is by having all of your stuff in one place, it makes it a lot easier. Like high level idea is really that if employees or teammates have access to all of the information, all the conversations that they should have access to, and that it's easy to do, and it's easy to just with a click of a button make sure that all the people have the right things. It's a lot easier for them to see big picture how the network is running, what's going on, and really sort of take time to think about how everything fits together if they have that. I mean, I've worked in offices of 5 where one person liked to hoard information and the boss wouldn't know that they hadn't shared it, and then they'd be like, oh, you didn't know that? And it's like, no, and
Yep.
with this, it's a lot more sort of open. So it's a lot easier to really get a sense of, even if you can't see necessarily private stuff that upper level people need, you can still see sort of how everyone talks to each other and how they fit together and how the teams work together and how different teams overlap. Because the idea is that you can put a whole bunch of different companies together, or if you're a freelancer, you can try and get all your clients in one place so that at least they get a few less notifications. And we also have integrations with it. Anyway, we'll come back to that. But yes, the idea is essentially that collaboration is driven by being able to talk to each other, being able to have access to all the information and people that you need. And one of the things that we do for that also is there's a mapping feature that shows you sort of the whole network and how everything connects, or everything that you have access to, including how different people are connected. And so if you fill out your profile and you say, I'm writing, I do video production, and here are some things that I do outside, I went to clown school, and then someone else in advertising might say, hey, I went to clown school,
Right.
and you'd never even known that person before. And instead it sort of automatically says, hey, you guys have a lot of things in common. So let's say 2 different departments are working on video. I mean, this would be for a bigger company, but even, I mean, again, I've worked in pretty small companies where we didn't necessarily know that much about each other, So the idea is that by connecting people and by giving them the ability to see things and talk to each other, it allows for a lot more opportunities for collaboration.
Yep, I completely understand. I mean, so I work for a large corporation, so we are huge, and we are using all these tools to make everybody aware of things, and usually it doesn't work. Because what I found, and I would be interested in your opinion on that, is that it's one thing to basically get the information somewhere out in the open, so that people can get it. And the other thing is to do it in a structured way so that people actually want to get it and understand it. Because that's for example, where we are struggling. We're struggling with, so we put everything somewhere, but it's such a huge amount of information that most people just don't bother even looking, right?
Interesting. The way that we've sort of dealt with that, there's a few different things we've done to make the network a little more friendly for that kind of thing. One is that it's built on a social media style platform, so it sort of looks like Facebook when you log on. And the idea being that it feels a little more friendly and familiar, so it's not just like you're clicking into this wealth of information. It's like you can see, and it's very clearly organized, and you can tag things however you want and name them however you want, so that you just go, oh, that's advertising, or like this is the South by Southwest project, and it gives you notifications, and it shows you little pictures of people, which I think gets people a little more involved sometimes.
Yep.
And the other thing that we've built in is like a gamification of the network. It's an optional tool, but for like an enterprise level client, what they do is like you can do things like assign points. Like if people use the network a lot, they'll get little coins, and then you can either like set rewards for that, or just I mean, honestly, sometimes I get the email that's like, you got 500 coins for your participation. I'm like, I did, and it's like this is not, it's pointless, but there's that little sort of piece of monkey brain like, I did good.
Yeah, that helps usually, I know.
But we've also set it so you could do it like a little store. So like, let's say you get 12,000 coins or something, you get a t-shirt, or like just something like that, where it's a tangible reward for actually using it and clicking around and talking to people. And then I think that honestly the social network kind of look of it makes it feel a little more, you can get lost in there, but that's not the worst thing. At least you're using it. And just trying to make it very simple with like, it's very colorful, it's very visual, and the mapping tools help with that a little bit too. And And I think anything where you get to sort of, I mean, to me at least, this is me talking as me, less as something that we've talked about with Zillable, but just, I feel like anything that kind of strokes your own ego a little is something that you'll look at. So it's like, yeah, who is like me here? Like, if you, what I do is very fancy. And so if you get to like click in your little thing about what you do, and then you go, ooh, like, I'll make a new friend that will be very impressed by the things I do, kind of thing. I mean, that could be that again. That's me just extrapolating. But I think that's why like Twitter and Facebook and all these things are so. I mean, it takes you to your profile, and you're like, yes, look at all these pictures of me, and it's like, what? Why does that help why do our brains get so excited by that stuff? But we kind of do.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. I think if you're putting these icons and things that make it more human, I think that definitely helps. We just recently redesigned. Hang on for a second. There is a dog barking. I'm just going to close the window. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Worse yet, it's my own dog. So.
Some dog is outside making noise. I don't know.
Some dog. I don't know. I don't know who is the owner. Maybe he should discipline his dog.
Yeah.
Some kind of weird neighbor, probably.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we currently redesign some of our own applications to make them look very nice, and or these visual things. And yes, it helps. So yeah, I think that definitely helps, and the social aspect definitely that definitely helps. Since
and the other thing we have built in. Oh, sorry. I live in New York. I have a tendency to just start talking every time there's a silence.
People want to listen to you, not to me.
The only thing I was going to say is the other thing that sort of helps with that is we do have like an instant messaging style feature, as well as the sort of Slack style chat that is like your channel of where you talk about projects. We have an instant messaging thing that feels more like MSN or AOL, where you can just talk to your one friend in the corner as you click around the network, or to your boss.
Sounds good.
Anyway,
so since this is all about collaboration and working with other people, was there anything unexpected about collaboration that you discovered working with Zillable?
I guess the biggest thing has been, I don't know about collaboration. Well, to a certain degree, it's been interesting because our team is spread out across the world. So I work with people who are in California, people who are here in New York, and we had a lady in Chicago for a little while. But we also have people in the Philippines and in Vietnam, and there's a girl who goes to Paris for 6 months every year. And it's like, so actually working together across all these different time zones and trying to make this work it's been interesting. And I think Zillable, the platform, has been really helpful for that, because you can basically be leaving each other notes even if you're 12 hours apart, and it just shows up like your notification in the morning, sort of like staying in touch with someone on Facebook, where it's even if it's tough to connect, or because we have all these different tools to talk to each other, it's if you happen to see that one person is online, it'll show you that they're online, and you can instant message them and go, hey, what time is it there? Like, what are you doing right now? It's midnight here. I just was checking because but it makes it a lot easier to, as opposed to say emailing back and forth with someone who is in Vietnam, like I might never actually catch them, and it means that whatever they do is already there on the network for me in the morning. So if they're working all night and then I get up in the morning, I can see everything that they've done without them having to send me this whole load of information, because it's all already shared. So I guess it's been interesting doing that, though. Even with the platform, it was a little bit of a learning curve, I feel like, because we all kind of want to go, well, why can't you meet at my time? I want to talk at 9 a.m. my time, not 9 a.m. your time. But you get used to it, and it's been like, I've gotten to know some really neat people that I would never have otherwise probably gotten to chat with, or talk to via video chat, and it's all sort of contained in this one place, which is great.
Yep, I think that's great, and I perfectly understand that 9 a.m. my time, because I'm here in Prague, right, which is Central European time. we all know now, but we're frequently working with people from the US or from Singapore or even from Australia, and sometimes it's very, very difficult, and especially what I know, like people from the East Coast working with people from Singapore, there is a 12-hour difference, which means that for one of them, it's going to be uncomfortable. And I see this as a great thing that could help with that, because you can actually dump many of the things and you can have just meaningful interactions instead of waiting for the other person to tell you what they've been doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can jump right into talking about the content as opposed to the general, just like, I worked on the press release, I worked on that. It's like, here's the specific question I have. Here's all the work already done. It's already there. Like, let's just keep rolling.
Yeah, because otherwise what I see, it often kind of turns to status reporting. Basically, as you were saying, I did this, I did that, I did that. And they would name 20 things. And in 19, you're not interested because they just did them. Okay, they're done. What am I supposed to do with that? I have this one thing that I really need your help, or I really need to continue on. Let's go to that. And the other 19 I can read later. Yeah, so that's great. So since you've been working in this distributed team, what would you say are some key ingredients to make it work? Of course, other than using Zillable.
I think patience and a sense of humor helps a lot. No, it's I do, like, I think the Zillable tool has been really key, but in terms of other advice, I think it's it's be flexible. It's that, unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. Just because we use Zillable, which is great because it eliminates a lot of emailing and that kind of thing. So it kind of just takes us down to how to actually talk to each other and how to keep things rolling and not just devolve into weekly status reports that don't get you anywhere. I think it's important to sort of curate what you need to talk to someone about. If you're only going to get 5 minutes every week or so, or an hour every week or so, it's good to think about not what have I been doing? I want to make sure they know that I'm doing things, but rather, what do they need to know and what do I need from them? Like really putting together, staying very sort of tight with what it is that actually needs to get done. And then also, honestly, I think that this is just me. This might be because I'm a writer and a comedian, but I like, talk to each other. It's nice to just sort of feel like you have a rapport, even if you are thousands of miles away. It's nice to just feel like that's a person on the other end, and to find time to really, talk to each other as humans also, because I think it makes it a lot easier to be patient with each other when something isn't working, or to, to work together, even when everything is rolling. It's just to feel like you have that connection is I think very important.
Yep, I completely agree with that. I mean, we are working with especially those people in Singapore, and I have to admit that, this out of work chat works, but for me at least, what worked was that actually I went there for 2 weeks. I spent 2 weeks there, and I understood it much better, because for many things I was just, what the hell are they doing there? I don't understand. Why would they be doing that? And only when I actually got there, I was like, oh, it actually makes perfect sense.
And also, I feel like face-to-face time helps you understand tone in messages too, which is so important in this sort of internet working thing, which is that we all talk so differently, and we all, and we might think differently, but have the same ideas, but not be communicating them in the same way. So when you actually get to hear someone, the way that they talk, see how they're expressing themselves, whether it's through video chat or, ideally meeting each other in person, it can really change how you read what they're saying to you. And it's easy. I feel like it's very easy when you don't talk for a while to start feeling like, what are they doing? Like, who is this person? Sort of start treating them like some other that isn't. And then when you actually can have that human connection, it's like, oh yeah, this is just one of my coworkers who's in another place, and they, they've got all these different situations, and they're doing their best probably.
Yep. So the solution I found, or that personally works for me, is that I try to do this out of work chat pretty often and as regular as possible, because I found out that, exactly as you're saying, if you were not talking to somebody for a long time, that person becomes somebody else, somebody without a face. It's just a voice somewhere or letters in an email or something. And I found myself that I'm starting questioning, like, why would they be doing that? I don't understand. And this regular conversation helps with that.
Yeah.
Would you?
Getting to know each other, and
Yeah. There is one other thing that I would like to get your opinion on, and that is that I still think that many people, when it comes to these virtual sessions like we are having now, they want to do it as quickly as possible. Just go through the important stuff, get it over with, and that's it. And they would try to minimize the length, and that never worked for me, because as you said, sometimes you just need a discussion to understand each other.
Yeah. It's I think it's sort of part and parcel of the same thing, which is that tendency to just go, all right, here are the things, it's important when it comes to work to just go, all right, here are the things that have to get done. But with something like this, I mean, there's no reason to say, okay, we have to get through this. And unless you're so busy that you've got so many meetings, but most people really, like they can take the time out. And then, and this sort of thing is good to do because it's good to connect with other people. And for me, if I'm listening to something or I'm watching a TV show, like let's say you're watching a late night show or something like that, you're there because you like the host. You want to know that person. You want to talk to that person. You want to hear their opinions on things. And it's not just about like, here's what happened in the news today. It's like, even with the news, it's not just here's what happened in the news today. It's like, hey, I like that Peter Mansbridge guy, like,
right.
He seems, or like he really seems to know what he's talking about. Like,
right.
Anything with this is I mean, people are people, and you got to. I don't know. I mean, I'm going off the rails here, but to me, it's just I'm watching it for the people as much as the information. So why not?
Yeah, and I personally don't watch TV almost at all, because I get angry almost every time when I watch the news. So I stopped.
Well, that's fair.
I kind of stopped doing that.
Yeah.
But with many other things, yes, I would say usually when I want to learn something new or something, I don't go just for the content, I go for the person as well. I would say, oh, I like that guy's style. I probably will listen to that. And something like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my friends here have been on about this podcast called My Favorite Murder, and it's not because they love murder so much, it's because they want to hear these girls talking, and then they happen to be experts on true crime, and like maybe they talk about it a little bit, but that's not why anybody's listening to it. It's not. If that were the case, they would just read the news story and then go, back to their regular lives.
My Favorite Murder. What is that? Tell me more.
Okay, I haven't listened to it yet, but everyone, a whole bunch of my friends here keep telling me that I have to listen to it.
I'm writing
but
it
it's
down.
a true crime podcast about real murders, I guess. But it's two girls who I think worked in TV, maybe. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I haven't listened to it. But everyone keeps telling me about it, and everyone says they're so funny. No one's like, these murders are so crazy. It's like, that no one's there for I mean, like, you're interested in the content too, just like with anything else. Like with this, like if I were listening to this, I suppose I would be wanting to hear you hosting and hear, like, get to know me a little, and also a little bit get this collaboration stuff. But I'm not, it's like, to me, I don't even know if I can trust you until I know, like, I want to know you a little, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this person seems like they might know something about collaboration. I don't know. That's a weird example, but
yeah, but I understand it, so it's a good example. I wanted to ask one more thing, and obviously you're working freelance, so there are these people, different continents, different time zones. How do you deal with that so that you don't get crazy from meeting people at ungodly hours?
I try to limit it as much as possible. It's like I will do the crazy hour meeting when it's necessary. But if there's any way to, like, even if it's 12 hours apart, if they can do 8 p.m. and I can do 8 a.m., that's a little better than a lot of other options. Like trying to find that sweet spot. And then just saying, like, let's meet when we absolutely have to meet. Let's talk occasionally, Or doing like, okay, every Monday I'll stay up till midnight and like do all these calls, and then the rest of the time I'm also, because I do stand-up comedy and that kind of thing, you know, I'm up late anyway. So if anything, I don't mind. It's mostly early mornings that I avoid a lot. But I mean, that would be, so for anyone, it just depends on what your thing is. Like if you're someone who gets up early anyway, you know, one day a week or once every 2 weeks, say like, okay, Tuesday I'm up at 4 a.m. Usually I'd go exercise, but like I'll just get these done and I'll talk to everybody and it'll be nice. Because anytime I actually do it, I never regret it. It's not like, oh, I can't believe I had to have this meeting where I talk to the person that I work with. It's like, oh, this was actually nice. This is fine. I don't know why I put it off so much. But I think if you do it too much, you will go crazy.
Yeah, because I can see many examples of how it got out of hand, and then people would be working throughout the day and they would be working throughout the night. And I had a recent example with the colleagues from the company I work for, and it was from Singapore, and we actually went there, and because we are all early birds who arrived there, so we were at the office at I think 8:30 or something like that. And then people at 10, 11, they start slowly walking in the office, and one of us, it wasn't me, it was somebody else, but I had the same question. He just asked it first, was like, 11? What have you been doing in the morning, guys? And it was like on the third day that we observed this. It was not like the first occasion. And they would say, well, it's because that usually in the evenings we are on call with you from Prague. And you're like, oh, right.
Of course. That's right. I keep you up.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, sometimes, it just warrants a life change. There was a little while, there was like 6 months, there were about 6 months where I was only working with clients from California. So I just ended up living on an LA schedule. I was just doing everything 3 hours later for about 6 months. It was like, all right, well, I sleep till 9 or 10 and then I start work at 11 because that's 8 a.m. there. It's just like.
Yes. That was a solution I proposed, like in a funny way, that perhaps we should all agree on one time, which should of course be our time. And then they will just come to the office late and they will stay in the night. They can do everything in the morning. Unfortunately, they didn't seem to like the idea.
Yeah, right.
For some reason, I can't imagine why, but they just didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is just to hammer it home that we use Zillable, and I think that it makes a big difference because it means that I can just be mentioned like on Twitter and they tag my name on the one document that I really need to look at that they were working on all night. And then I just head right there in the morning and I can and if I'm up early enough, which I try to be, if I know that they're, working on something important or something like that, maybe it's 8 or 9 a.m. here, it's 8 or 9 p.m. there. We can just catch each other and go, hey, okay, so I'm looking at this right now. I can see all the changes that were made. Like I don't need to go through everything. It's just like, what do you think about X, Y, or Z? Yep. And then you're done instead of having to adjust your whole schedule around.
Okay. So we're 30 minutes in. Great chat, I think. Any last piece of your wisdom that you want everybody to hear?
Nah, just be nice to each other,
That's a great advice, I think. And I think if you're nice and treat other as actually people, not as just voices on the other end, I think things are usually going to go well. Okay, Emily, thanks very much. It was a great pleasure having you.
It was so nice to meet you.
See you later, maybe. Or see your musical later.
Yeah. Well, email me if you start listening to my favorite burner and we can talk.
Yes, I will, definitely. If I do that, I definitely will let you know.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.